We ran up the hill and crossed a rice field path until we made it to a simple outhouse.
ここならなんとか。
ほんと、何事なんだ？確かにすごい霧だけど、そんな慌てることじゃ。
いい、春明さん。詳しく説明してる時間はない。だから、お願いだから、今から言うことを絶対に守って。今から一晩、ここに入って、鍵をかけて、絶対に物音一つ立てないで。
My mind was pretty clear by this point, so much so that I began to wonder why it was clouded until now. Because of that, I could easily understand exactly what Chiemi just said, despite how weird it was. I could also see she was really desperate. Oh, what? There's 3, 8, 19, and 20? Okay, hide in the outhouse.
また、とんでもない指示が来たもんだ。
春明さん。
What?
言っとくけど、相当な無茶ぶりだからね。ノルマクリアの暁には、相当な見返りと説明を要求するから。
うん、いいよ。全部話す。だから、今晩を生き延びて。
The words, the teary smile, none of it looked fake.
じゃあね、君も急ぐんでしょ？
うん。それじゃ、春明さん。
何？
明日言うから。
Leaving me one hell of a homework assignment, Jamie ran off. The plaza was covered in the mist by now. I could see it rising to take over the fields too. Anyway, a promise was a promise. 10 minutes later, I began to wonder what I was doing. Was I really supposed to spend the night here? This outhouse wasn't like a prefab you'd find in construction sites. It was just a shack built by hand. It merely happened to have a toilet unit installed. It was Japanese style, so I couldn't even sit down. All I could do was stand. Another problem, it was the type of toilet that periodically had to be pumped empty, so the smell was really bad. Sure, there was a cover on the toilet unit, but without any kind of air freshener anywhere, the smell of ammonia could only do so much. The only good thing about being here was that if I had to go to the toilet, well, mission accomplished. But what of it? Again, was I really supposed to spend the night here? The question quickly made me realize how stupid this was, and I began making assumptions to make this easier for myself. Was I being pranked? Or was someone just here just crazy? Hell, the mist had already filled the surroundings, and there was no way that this shabby outhouse protect me from it. The air here already felt misty and damp. The temperature here was low, so I could still bear it somewhat, but staying here all night would make me all wet. Again, I wasn't safe from the mist here. That considered, I'd probably be better off sleeping in the grass outside than staying here. What? The reasonable part of my mind urged me to stop playing along with these hicks. However,
今から一晩、ここに入って、鍵をかけて、絶対に物音一つ立てないで。うん、いいよ。全部話す。だから、今晩を生き延びて。
my sense of duty made it hard for me to break the promise I'd made to her. Actually, that wasn't quite true. I was more intrigued by the prospect of learning more about this place. Yeah. Anyway, I took the time to compile what I'd found out today. Maybe I save here? This was the Yasumizu settlement, a special part of Fujiyoshi. It was situated right next to the Saranaga Rapids. The people living here were Chiemi Serizawa, Yasunaga Oribe, his family Kaori Oribe and Yoshitsugu Oribe, Chikamochi Kamoshida, Haru Makishima, her granddad Kanzo Makishima, Tae Yamawaki, Takumi Muro, Kiyonosuke no Sato, It seems like he was from Kamifujiyoshi, the place on the other side on the mountain, but for some reason he lived here now. And finally, the old man who cried wolf. Those were the 11 people I'd met, and Chiemi said I had 2 more left. That can only mean that the 2 I'd met by that pine were the other ones. A little girl? A little girl. She was probably the child that strayed into Saranaga yesterday morning. And then there was the fantastical looking white-haired woman clad in strange clothing. She was probably the one I'd seen this morning. The fact I'd seen her twice made it likely that she was indeed real, but with how mysterious this place was, I couldn't rule out the possibility that she was an illusion. According to Chiemi, the little girl was being looked after by someone. English is hard. According to Chiemi, the little girl was being looked after by someone in the village, so I could only assume that the white-haired woman was the one. If I counted the little girl, it would mean that Yasumizu had 13 inhabitants. Then there were the 2 journalists, Hisako Mamiya and Yudai Hashimoto. Add me to that and you had a total of 3 outsiders, but I'd put that aside for now. Anyway, time for an assessment. Yesterday morning, a little girl strayed into Saranaga. To make it worse, no one, not even herself, knew anything about her. She instantly got branded as an ill omen. The next day, Chiemi, who was in Saranaga for some reason, found me there. They recognized me as a proper lost person. But since I came through Saranaga, I also branded as an ill omen. From what Kyonosuke no Satoshi said, it was safe to assume that it used to be customary to throw people like us into Saranaga. Whoa! And then there was this mist. The girl said something mysterious. Prepare for the feast when the evening mist arrived. I could only assume it was related to the same superstition. After all, the mist came from Saranaga itself. It and the river seemed to be central to the local customs and ideas. With that in mind, how was it dangerous? What was going to happen now? Yomibito, as in people from Yomi, the ancient Japanese land of the dead? Dead people came back through Saranaga, and they were corrupted. Well, that gave room for some wild ideas. Was there some part of pathogen in Saranaga that rose up with the mist? Did it turn people into zombies? Was I able to be part of a Japanese Resident Evil? There's no Japanese Resident Evil, it's called Biohazard. Wait, that was But if you had a 10% chance to be infected by the mist, but a 100% chance to be infected by another person, that explains why everyone had to isolate themselves like this. If I became a zombie, I probably wouldn't have the mind to unlock the door. So basically, by locking myself in here, I was quarantining myself. I hadn't put all that much thought into that, but that seems like a good story. Sure, stuff like the boulders and the wolves didn't fit anywhere into my idea, but it was still interesting. Then again, I knew this was Hicksville and all, but would a superstition that science could explain so easily really survive the modern world? It seemed so weird.
今から一晩ここに入って鍵をかけて絶対に物音一つ立てないで。
Don't make a sound? To be frank, the reason why I spent so much time on these delusions was because I was scared of things I didn't know or understand. In the past, people used to attribute stuff like natural phenomena and diseases to gods, devils, yokai, and then do nothing but fear them. They were scared of these manifestations of monsters and whatnot. But on the other hand, it was better than not seeing or not knowing anything, what they really were. The fact that you could die to things you couldn't see or understand made life really unreasonable and unfair. That was why it was very logical to give things names and mental images in order to recognize and memorize them. My fear of things I didn't know was the same. except I wasn't satisfied with just labels and hypotheses. I needed to reach the truth. That aside, what I was feeling right now wasn't a fear of the unknown. It was a realistic, practical fear of something that could endanger my life.
今から一晩ここに入って鍵をかけて
Yeah, you said that
物
already.
音一つ立てないで
That meant that outside lurked something dangerous that could hear sound, yeah. Perhaps it was the so-called dead that rose up from the river. Or maybe, assuming I was right, my Saranaga sickness theory. Saranaga sickness theory. Hinamizawa syndrome. It was people who come out and beat the shit out of all the deceased who didn't follow the rules. The wolves is coming. Maybe the wolves was the title given to the killer. Oh, suddenly I heard a scream in the distance. What? Stay, you goat, and tackle it? I cannot choose the second option. That was some timing. Right as I was about to form a new hypothesis, the proof connecting it all suddenly came to me, and it was right outside. It had gotten really dark. There were no lights anywhere. The darkness was fear, unperceived, unknown, dangerous, scary. Leaving this place was dangerous. Scary things were scary no matter how much logic you applied. But I couldn't discard my desire to get to know the fear and conquer it. I opened the door and stopped in place. Night was an absolute darkness. No matter how dark or cloudy it was, the sky always gave some bit of light to us. However, I came to understand that it could be hard to even see if there was light. Everything I saw was covered by a dense mist. Combined with pale moonlight, it made the area seem milky. It made it hard to get around. Regardless, I couldn't ignore the scream. There was something beyond this veil. I kept moving forward. Unless my ears were deceiving me, the scream belonged to a woman and had come from the right. I couldn't let myself think that, or rather I didn't want to think that. The unknown was scary. Personally, I'd found that principle made my life really easy. I had more than enough fear from those which were directly threatening my life. I really didn't want to have the fear of losing someone as well. Change your line of thought, Haruaki. Solving the mystery might save someone. Two birds with one stone. I began walking faster. Another scream. It was close. I realized I had to find a way to protect myself. I was unarmed, so I looked around for anything I could use as a weapon. I felt around to see if there was any branch or something. Sadly, all I felt was grass. I went deeper and searched the ground itself. Soon I felt something hard. It was a rock. A moment of digging later, I took it in hand. It was a bit smaller than my hand. I almost teared up at how useless it seemed, but it was better than nothing. I looked at the base of my feet and saw the grassy ground. I could easily move forward if I first checked the ground using my feet. And since I might have been closer to the danger, I had to focus on what was ahead too. I recognized the danger and, if possible, get rid of it. I concentrated entirely on that and stepped forward. I couldn't hear the screams anymore, but I could hear other things. A wet sound, and the sound of something cracking. It filled my mind with countless things I didn't want to imagine. Even so, I kept walking forward until I saw it. What? What? There's a wolf! My hypotheses were nothing but delusions. The truth was truly something you had to see yourself. But why? Why was this so scary in spite of being true? It wasn't supposed to exist. It couldn't exist. After all, It was a wolf with a humanoid body. But there is no such thing as werewolves. The next morning, in a paddy field in Fujiyoshi, Yasumizu third block, someone discovered a thoroughly mangled corpse. The clothes nearby. What? Wait, what? Led the discoverers to conclude that it was the traveler Haruaki Fusaishi. Strangely enough, I could perceive this particular moment. And so I...
さよなら、春秋さん。
was finished off by the girl.
宴が始まりました。
The last thing I heard
狼をくぐる。
was that. Oh! Ragingloop. Unfilled arrival. Ragingloop. Obtain key 2 Werewolf and Resurrection. You can view it in the key list. The route unlocked by this key is represented by the same number of the scenario chart. What? Bad ending number 2? Watch in corner? What? I don't understand any of that. Okay, let's watch this. Hint?
よ、やっちまったな大将。
羊さん。
俺のことはまあ気にすんな。取るに足らねえインターフェース的なキャラクターさ。羊とでも呼べよ。ここは夢と夢の狭間。臭いし春秋とかいう野郎には見えねえから、まあ安心してくつろぎな。つってもあんま長っちりはできねえかな。俺は忙しいんだ。ちゃっちゃと進めんぞ。
Oh, this is so fun. Let's
ヒ
see.
ントコーナーにふさわしく、大将が困らねえようにありがてえ助言をいくつかくれてやるぜ。まずゲーム的なあれこれを最初に言っておこう。さっきやっちまったと言ったが、実は大将が最初にここに来るのは確定事項だ。
Okay.
つうのも選べる選択肢は一つしかなかったろ。その下はなんか鍵マークみてえなのが出て選べなかったはずだ。
はい、その通り、羊さん。
おっと、だからって最初の芹沢千恵美とのうすらバカ問答を選び直しても無意味だぜ。どれを選んでも分岐はしねえ。
Idiotic quiz.
チュートリアルでも一応解説したが、念のためレイジングループの仕組みをおさらいしとくか。大将がさっき実際に食らった通り、レイジングループでは必ず死ぬ。
Okay.
なぜかオーグの選択肢はロックされていて、それを開くためには対応するキーが必要だからさ。
I see.
キーはシナリオ中に散らばってる。手に入るときはだいたい命と引き換えさ。だから死は不可避ってわけ。
Oh no, this seems fun. I like this kind of story. Okay.
どうやら夫妻子春秋の野郎は死んでも記憶を次に持ち越せるらしいな。
Really?
それを再現したシステムってわけだ。
So he'll know?
つうわけで羊さんから大将への最初のアドバイスだ。行き詰まったら死んでみろ。数あるバッドエンドの中にはキーが手に入るものも多い。意外な結末からキーが手に入ることもあるだろうさ。もちろん全部のバッドエンドを見なくても必要なキーを集めて最短クリアすることは可能だ。遊び方は任せるぜ。で、今回のバッドエンドに題してベンジョマンの最後についてだが、回避するにはキー2が必要だ。だが次はもう問題ねえ。 づいてるか？ここで死んだ時すでに大将はキー2を入手してる。キー2の内容はメニューの中にキーってボタンがあるからそこで見てくれりゃいいんだが。
Key number 2, Werewolf and Resurrection. Mist appeared in Yasumizu, Fujiyoshi. The residents were oddly afraid of it, and after ignoring Chiemi's warning, I was killed by a wolf-faced human lurking in the mist. But what's even stranger is I should be dead, yet here I am, racking my brain over these mysteries. What in the world is happening? Okay.
要は夜出歩いたら死ぬってことを久石春明は身をもって知ったわけだ。だからこそ新しい選択が可能になった。この手の一度つまずく系の死亡エンドは今後も何回かあったらそこんとこは承知しといてくれな。一方、キーを手に入れるのがずっと先になることもある。
Okay.
キーが手に入るときは赤文字ででっかく表示されるから今後も要注目だぜ。この後だが、久石春明は振り出しに戻る。つまりゲームの冒頭、バイクで迷ってるシーンだな。最初から読み直してもいいが、今後何十回も死ぬことになるから、その度に読み直してたら大変だ。だから、ある程度状況を把握したら、シナリオチャートを使って、ふっとジャンプしちゃってくれ。
Okay.
大将が一度読み切ったシーンなら、いつでもどこでもどこからでもジャンプが可能だ。便利なもんだぜ、こいつはよ。例えば今この瞬間でも画面に出てるチャートボタンを押し、ノーム、ナイの9、悲鳴を追うかに飛んで OK だ。
But I won't be talking with you, right? Dance mist. Yeah, this is the. But if I click that, I won't be talking with you, right?
シナリオチャートからのジャンプをガンガン活用するのがレイジングループ攻略のコツかもな。ちなみにここまでで2、ノームは終了。いわば小手調べ、導入が終わったってわけだ。
Okay.
今回解放された選択肢を選べば、いよいよ最初のメインルート3、読みが始まる。頑張れよ。
Thank you, Hitsuji-san.
次にロックされた選択肢が出てきたら、右端の方を見てみな。番号はシナリオチャートにも表示される。どこがロックされてるのか、何番のキーがいるか一目瞭然。ちなみにこっそり教えてやるけど、1が手に入るのはすっげえ先だ。取りこぼしとかじゃねえから安心してサクサク次に進んでやってくれ。かー、ずいぶん長くなっちまった。俺は忙しいってのによ。つうわけで今回はここまで。次も元気に死んでこい。
ありがとうございます、Hitsuji-san.
そういう夢だったってわけだ。次はもっとうまくやれ。
お、
羊が1匹、羊が2匹。
お。I really did go back. Let's go. Dance mist. Okay. Suddenly, I heard a scream in the distance. Keep still, right? What was that? It sounded like someone's life was in danger. It meant something dangerous was nearby. Wait, I couldn't be rash. The world didn't have many things that logic couldn't explain, like the existence of murderers. But Until I saw the source of the scream myself, it was nothing but a source of fear.
今から一晩ここに入って
Okay, okay,
鍵
okay,
をかけて
Jamie.
絶対に物音一つ立てないで
I reached to open the door, but something stayed my hand. It was my promise to Jamie. But that scream just now was very real. It wasn't normal. I had to assume the situation was dangerous, and maybe I could help if I went out. But that meant endangering myself. I was no saint, and I had no plans to rectify that. If there was something that could get me to walk out, it would be curiosity. My curiosity had won over many dangers thus far. But right now it was weaker than my fear and risk of death. Why? Because I already knew. Shit, what the hell were those memories? It wasn't a premonition, a dream, or anything else that fake. My brain recognized it as something I'd experienced. But how? After all, I was still alive, and the time from those memories had yet to come. Was I a precog or something? By God, I swear I'd never experienced anything like this before coming here. And why did the memory come back to me at this particular moment? Regardless, that overwhelming fear and the pain of death that followed were exactly what waited for me if I opened the door. I couldn't feel more certain of that. The thoughts rendered me unable to move, immobile. I stood still, completely certain that I'd lost my chance to live. I wasn't childish enough to sneer at selfish decisions, but this still didn't feel good. Not to mention, I was upset at myself for not being able to act like me and just run out simply because I was curious. I didn't even feel safe until that moment. Suddenly, the door began to shake. This place had a handle on the outside, and someone was pulling on it hard. There was a lock, sure, but there was only so much it could take before it broke. I prepared to pull on it from inside, but
今から一晩ここに入って鍵をかけて絶対に物音一つ立てないで
what would happen if I did? Whatever was outside would instantly know I was here. Even if I protected the door, the thing had lots of other ways of hurting me. But what if it didn't know about me and was just weirded out by this randomly locked toilet? What if I didn't show a hint of fear to what it was doing? Would it just leave? I choose to just wait and see. Once again, someone pulled the door, shaking the structure as a whole. I gulped down a scream and focused on the lock. If it broke, it'd be over for me. Over as in, I'd be dead. Ooh. That was what that memory told me. I was powerless back then, even when more so now. Assuming I tried to fight back, what would work? I'd heard that teeth were the hardest part of the human body, so maybe I could bite? Yeah, I'd tear whatever it was apart with my teeth. I bite it to death. I gathered my wits and killing intent. Grinding my teeth, I glared at the door. How long had it been? The sounds suddenly stopped. For all I knew, I might have been a ploy to make me drop my guard. I'd slowly count to 500. If nothing happens in that time, I'd assume it went away. There were no screams or attacks after that, but the silence around me improved my perception, and I hear strange noises every now and then. Breathing, growling, claws on the ground. Basically, I felt a beastly presence. So that thing actually existed here? Was it what the mist brought here from Saranaga? The wolf is coming. Did they all know about this? Shit, I couldn't learn anything in a place like this, and not knowing things scared me. Trusting my prescience or deja vu or whatever it was, I chose to just stay quiet and wait. I'd find out everything tomorrow. I just had to make it through the night and then talk to Jamie. And if it was something I couldn't solve, I'd just run away. Thankfully, my bike repair was going well, but I'd be leaving even if it didn't work. I'd walk to Kami Fujiyoshi if I had to. Unlike Yasumizu, they might have reliable means of transport. For now, I just had to stay awake and make it through the night. Ooh, next day! I never liked seeing night gradually turn brighter as the morning arrives. It always made me feel like shit, like I'd just done something harmful, both for my heart, body, and the human being in general. I found it natural to spend the night asleep and welcoming the morning well rested and with a smile. I'd never expected to feel so much gratitude for the morning light leaking through the door of an outhouse. It felt like the beasts had been out and about the whole night. Naturally, the high humidity here had made my clothes all wet and sticky. It was unpleasant, but even trying to move them and make it more comfortable for myself felt like a matter of life and death. Maybe it was a good thing I couldn't relax, but hell, it was exhausting in more ways than one. When I heard Chiemi shout Haruaki-san in the distance, I was so overcome with relief I almost fell to my knees. If this turned out to be a trick and I opened the door to see some wolf with a chewed collar in its mouth lunging for my throat, I'd just give up and let it have me at this point. With that in mind, I opened the door. I expected to see the same picturesque village I'd seen yesterday, so what I actually saw shocked me pretty hard. Oh, what the hell was up with this thick mist? I couldn't see shit. It was like the entire area was consumed by it. Did someone line every inch of this place with dry ice or something?
Haruaki-san!
I could hear Chiemi, but not see her.
ちえみちゃん、こっちだ。
Haruaki-san! よかった
What? I heard a wet sound and finally saw a silhouette within the mist.
大丈夫？
歯にはまった
I walked up and saw exactly what I expected. A girl struggling to free one of her legs stuck deep in the paddy field.
そうか、頑張れ。
助けてって
抜けないのね。じゃあ手を。よっと。
わ
I tugged her hand and braced my legs. That was enough to help her, but she lost her balance and...
おっと。セーフ。
ヘッドロックこれ技決まってる
Despite how close we were now, this wasn't the least bit of romantic.
とにかくよかった無事だったんだ
Oh. I definitely remembered a time where I was far from all right though.
ああ、なんとかね。
I had no idea what that was about, so I didn't see any reason to mention it.
ただ、夜中獣みたいな気配がした。
Ooh, she knew. Chiemi's expressions immediately darkened. She clearly knew what I was referring to.
聞きたいことはたくさんあるけど、まず昨晩聞いた悲鳴のことが気になる。
それは
知ってるの？
She fell silent, clearly uncomfortable. It was pretty ominous.
来てどうせいつか嫌でも見る
Chiemi gave me her hand. I took it, but I didn't feel at least bit excited about this. Yeah, this is not the time nor the place, dude. She led me down the path to the school dorm.
あ、Fusaishiさん、無事だったんですね。
生還おめでとうベンジョマン
ありがとう、暖かい布団マン。君たちも無事。いや、はるちゃんは？
Did she?
いえ、大丈夫です。まだ部屋なんですが、ちょっとショックが強かったみたいで、身支度に時間が。
そうか。皆さん、僕より先に動いてたみたいだな。
逆によく耐えれたな寝てたの
寝られるか。いつ出ていいかわからないから、 ずっと起きて待ってたよ。ちえみちゃん。
Hmm?
起きてたんですか？
Yasunaga-kun made it sound like that was weird.
いや、あのトイレで寝てごらん。横になるどころか座れもしないぜ。
いや、そうじゃなく、そうか。
What? What's going on? Did they all fall asleep? I really hate it when people just trail off like that. It makes me way too curious. Yeah, me too.
ちなみに君たちはなぜここに？
はるちゃん待ちと見張りだよ。
Look out.
状況がはっきりするまで現場に誰も近づかないようにね。
What scene? So someone actually...
見る？ベンジョマンの胃袋の強度試し。
What?
もっち、あんまふざけるなよ。
ああ、見るよ。
The invincible and unknown were way scarier than anything else. Not to mention, I could already smell something foul. I lightly moved them aside and walked up to the so-called scene. Is it gore? Ew. There was a corpse. It was in such a horrible state, it was hard to recognize it as human. I imagine this was what you would get if you overturned a butcher's cart. That was how thoroughly the victim was disassembled. Also, the butcher would have had to deal in entrails. Enough of that comparison. Straining my eyes to look through the thick mist, I could actually make out some human parts within a vast sea of blood, or mountain of death. Hands, torn clothing, hair, and a shoulder bag. How professional. She kept hold of her interviewing tools even while running for her life. Didn't do her odds of survival any favors though. Despite the body's state, it wasn't hard to tell that the victim was Hisako Mamiya, the small-time food journalist. That thing, did it come to me once it was done murdering her?
これはひどい。
大丈夫？吐き気とか。
Jamie was standing a short distance away, looking at nothing in particular.
吐くものもないし、まあ慣れてるんで。
春秋さん、そっち系の学部だっけ？
まあ一応医学系。
すごい。検視とかできる？
医学系ってのは医学部以外の類似学部生が見え張って使う表現さ。まあ病理解剖なら何度か見たけど。
Okay, these people, way too normal, way too normal reaction when seeing a body for the first time. I crouched down and put my hands together. Then, grimacing at the harrowing reek of bloods, innards, and especially the digested food, I brought my face closer. Perhaps I could learn something from this. I could, even if it wasn't much. This corpse wasn't split into pieces. The limbs were still connected, but they were folded in an unnatural way and looked really flattened. They were either crushed or bent with no regards to bones or muscle position. Then her whole body had been torn apart. The innards were practically badly damaged. The words wolfed down felt like the best way to put it. I found it hard to describe. This wasn't my job, so there wasn't much I could tell about it without touching it.
何がどうなってるのかわからない程度には常軌を逸した傷だよね。
I had an urge to add that this seemed inhuman, but I kept myself from saying that.
とにかくとっとと警察を呼んでプロに任せよう。
Oh no, triple dot. Triple dot. I said something any good citizen would, but for some reason, they didn't seem to agree.
春秋さん、警察は来ないんだ。
Why?
そんなことはないでしょう。人が死んでるんだし。
来ないんだ。
じゃあ避難しよ
それも無理なんだ。
Again, why?
う。どうして？バイクもあるし、この人たちが乗ってきた車だって。
とにかく久石さんで生存者は全員見つかったはずだから、一度食堂に移動しましょう。
That's strange.
はるちゃんは僕らが連れてくぞ。
そっちはお願い。春明さん、行こ
なあ、ちゃんと説明してくれないか？
う。悪いけど精神的に無理。自分で見て勝手に理解して。
Okay, how? I could. well, with the mist so thick and dense, I guess we cannot walk away from this village anymore. Ooh, it was the first time Jamie had acted so harsh with me. I was pretty irritated myself, but it must have been worse for them. They actually had info on what was happening here.
無神経だったよ。
Jamie said nothing more and just silently walked off. I followed her after. When we reached the plaza, I instantly understood what she said about evacuating. The bike and the van were both completely destroyed. The latter was in a particular bad state. The front window was broken. All 4 tires were flat, etc. My bike was on its side. Its front fork was broken. Well, it was basically scrap metal now. Fuck. There was a rock right next to it. Guess we had our weapon. And there were more remains inside the fans. What? Is it the mountain dude? Yikes. It looked like an enormous mountain of flesh and bone. If I didn't know about Yudai Hashimotoshi, I'd have assumed there were 2 or 3 corpses here.
橋本さん？
Chiemi slowly nodded. I now knew we'd lost not only 2 lives, but any means of transportation as well.
あれ見て。
She pointed at a wooden electrical pole. The line was dangling, torn apart with no hope of repair.
よその電線は生きてるけど、食堂のは電話線ごとやられた。外には連絡できないよ。
Oh, so that's why the police won't come? I took out my own phone. It worked, but the battery was almost dead, and like before, it was out of range. The situation had become even harsher than before.
これも見て。
Jamie walked a few steps away. I followed after. There was a large boulder. It was tall enough to reach an average roof, and there were drawings on it. A crimson symbol of some sort. What did it represent? At first it looked like an incoherent mess of lines. However, I soon realized there was a pattern. It felt like the calling card of some street gang. It's Naruto. It's Konoha Kirigakure. Konohagakure. From what I could tell, the basis was a warped diamond shape with a spiral inside. There were 2 of them. They seemed to be drowned in blood, but that wasn't nearly as disturbing as the bizarre shape.
狼が2匹、村に紛れ込んだ。
What?
戦わなきゃいけない。
Chiemi made a quiet declaration. Apparently, this settlement had been invaded by something malicious, and it was intelligent enough to rid it of all means of escapes or contacting help. I could understand that much, but it didn't make sense to me. This wasn't some isolated island. There was the cliff, sure, but you could still go down to Saranaga or go to Kamifujiyoshi. I'd ask about that the next time I had the chance.
ごめん。
ん？
気が立っちゃってごめん。春明さんだってきついでしょうに。
まあ気にしないでいいよ。所詮僕はよそ者だ。
そんなの言わないで。
ああ、言い方が悪かった。よそ者ゆえにルールがまだわからないから、もう少し静観するってこと。疲れちゃいるけど、多分普通の人よりは動揺はしてないと思うから、おとなしくしとこうってね。きっと他のご年配方はもっと殺気立ってるだろうし。
春明さん、本当にただの大学院生？
そうでなきゃなんだと？
なんか異様に落ち着いてない？まるでこういう質に慣れてるみたい。
Yeah, that's what I told a couple minutes ago.
多分大事な神経が何本か切れてるのさ。
The small dining hall was jam-packed with people.
てめえ。
てめえ。
生きてやがった。
おはようございます。大変なことになったみたいですね。
ごめんなさいね。ちょっと湯飲みが足りなくて。
いえ。
てめえがやったのか。あ？
The younger Oribe boy menaced me.
いや、やってないよ。どうしてそうなるの？
うるせえ。入ってくるんじゃねえ。よしぼうやめろ。うるせえのはお前だ。ああ？匠にだって言ってただろ。こいつが怪しいって。
Man, I hadn't expected to be treated this badly.
ガキが出る幕じゃねえっつってんだ。それにここじゃ迷惑だ。なあ、カモさん。
お。
ね、匠さん。とにかく落ち着いて。穏やかにね。
大丈夫だ。ちゃんと話は聞く。
ナムシない大権現。ナムシない大権現。
やめえたえば縁起でもねえ。それより集会堂の鍵はどこだ？
植松様に預けたわよ。2、3日前お団を直すんじゃって。
姉ちゃんいいか？
取って参ります。
That was the woman. So she wasn't just an illusion. Uematsu-sama was her name, huh? I thought our eyes met for a second, but she just walked by me.
メイコちゃん、ちょっと待っててね。
The girl was here too. Oh! Nosato, she is also here too. Deeper in, there was Kiyonosuke Nosato. She clearly irritated by something. It's the creepy old man too. And not far away, there was the old man who cried wolf. Just like yesterday, it was hard to tell what he was looking at, let alone thinking. They were the only ones sitting, by the way. The others were all just idly standing around.
母さん、皆さん、戻りました。
はるちゃん、こっち。
This is the normal reaction of people seeing that body, right? The 3 students were here. With them, the settlement's entire population had gathered. As for the outsider, the journalists were dead, while I was the mysterious girl. Well, blah, 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 blah. English is hard. As for the outsiders, the journalists were dead, while I and the mysterious girl had survived. I didn't know the circumstances, but they probably had their reasons to be suspicious of me. Suddenly, Chiemi did something unexpected.
リカコさん、ちょっと待ってもらえる？
She stopped the girl who was about to go out to get some key. Each villager seems to call her differently, so I didn't know what to call her myself.
この人、久石春明さん。皿長でバイク事故に遭った人。
あ、どうも。
An introduction? Now? Why?
こちら、植松里香子さん。回るに末で植松。珍しいでしょ？上藤吉の長者、植松家の現当主様。
Oh.
植松里香子と申します。
お見知りおきください。
Oh, so she was like a local celebrity, huh? Like Kyonosukeshi's Nosato family?
あとそっちのがメイコちゃん。名前がわかんないからそう呼んでるだけだけど。
こんにちは。よろしくね。
The girl they called Meiko trembled a bit and
あら、
と
what? Sprinted through the crowd to hide behind Rikako Uematsu.
で、なんだっつうんだ、ちえみ。
私は房石春明さんを宴に呼ばないことを提案します。
What the hell is the utage? What is the feast? I felt a wave of perplexion go through the room.
ち買って言ってんじゃねえ。
What the hell?
そいつが怪しいか怪しくねえかを宴で決めるんだろ。
Is this a meeting? Like in Among Us? Ooh, so fun. Their expressions were stern and their words harsh.
違います。私は彼がそもそも宴に参加する資格がないと言ってるの、匠兄ちゃん。
何言ってんだ知恵ね。そいつが一番怪しいっつーの。
よし君、宴の支度した？
はあ？したい。
しなかった人いる？
What? How was I supposed to react? No one else was raising their hands, but I had no idea what they were talking about. Yeah, dude.
多分、はい。何のことかわからないんで。
宴の支度をしなかったからあの二人は汚れを受けた。でも春明さんは受けていない。私は狼様が彼を無視していると思ってる。
Okami-sama? As in Wolf-sama? Why the reference? And what was she even talking about?
サラナガから来た人ではあるけど、彼は本当にただ通り過ぎただけ。むしろ宴の邪魔になる。いえ、むしろ宴に混ぜれば狼様の怒りを買って何が起きるかわからないとすら思う。
ばあちゃん、どう思う？
あんたほんまに支度をせんと無事だったんかね。
What preparation?
ちなみに支度って？
みそぎ、物意味、夢枕。
Yume Makura?
体を清める。一つの建物に一人で閉じこもる。眠って夜明けを待つ。この三つ。
Oh, so they are all asleep. They claim they are all asleep.
じゃあ守ってないですね。トイレに一人で入りましたけど、風呂も入らず一晩徹夜しましたから。
The place got all noisy. They probably didn't expect that answer.
わからんね。初めてよ。そんなことを聞いたのは。
Tae-san sounded genuinely puzzled.
リカコさん、どう思われます？
I had no idea what kind of dynamics were at work here, but Chiemi asked for Rikako Uematsu's opinion.
私も賛成です。神内明神が裁かれないのなら、この方は山の掟の拉致外におられるのでしょう。
Her words created even more commotion.
そういうことです。
ちえみ、分かってんのか？そいつを外すってことは。
うん。大切な宴一日分、無駄な人をくくらずに済むね。
Hanging? What?
おやっさん、どうするんだ？
It was roundabout, but in the end, once again, the one to make the final call was Kanzo Makishimashi.
こいつは歌でから外す。
おやっさん。
じゃが
Clearly directed at me. The old man walked through the gathering and approached me. Seeing him from up close, I realized just how big and burly he was. It was pretty typical of someone living in a place like this, but it felt out of place on someone his age. His expression displayed both an inner strength to match his physique and a profound rage.
山の掟が通じねえならわしらの取り決めに従ってもらう。さもなくばわしがてめえを殺す。
He spoke slowly yet decisively. Man, this was uncomfortable.
ちょっと待て。彼が外されるというのならば、私やリカ子さんも外していただけんかね。
Oh, shut up, Nosato.
あ、なんでだよ。
我々は上藤吉の人間だぞ。皿長の事情に付き合う必要はない。
野里様、そうはいきません。宴の日にいりゃ野里も植松も荷車も樋口も関係ありゃせんです。
おっちゃん、その理屈だったら僕もやっすんもサボってよくなる？
廃着されたものは話は別だろう。どうして今現在4家に属している者がこんなバカに付き合わなきゃならない。
キヨ、
気安く呼ぶな、ムロ。行きましょう、リカ子さん。こんなもの付き合う義理はない。
いいえ、野里様。藤吉に住む者ならば義理がないとは言えぬでしょう。皆等しく親内様の手のひらの上、それがこの安水という皿の上に乗せられただけ。
しかし
文句がありゃどこへでも行け。汚れで死ぬのが関の山よ。
Kiyonosuke, she eventually fell silent, and Rikako left to get the key probably. She returned in no time, and everyone began leaving.
てめえは別のとこだ。
はい。どこに行けば？
匠、奥の檻使えるか？
The cage? What?
そりゃ使えるけど。あ、わかった。連れてっとく。あんた、こっちだ。
Everyone went to some hall near the village plaza, while Takumi led me elsewhere. We made our way through the tall grass between the buildings. At a dead end next to the wild trees and a rocky cliff, there was a large cage. It even had a roof and would have passed out for a hut with a bit of work.
生け捕りにした獅子を入れとくような檻だ。悪いが、ここに入っといてもらう。
拒否権はないってわけですか。
悪く思うな。みんなが宴をやってる間だけだ。そう長くはかからね
え。詳しい話を聞くのも無理と。
ああ、そうだな。悪いとは思うが、宴に出んで済むだけで幸運と思ってくれ。
How was I supposed to feel that way if I didn't even know what the feast was? I'd have asked, but he looked pretty irritated, probably because he wanted to get it over with, so I kept my mouth shut. The floor of the cage was mostly gravel, with spaces of weed and other things littered about. There was a vague but very clear scent of beasts.
ここ、横になっていいでしょうか。眠れるときに寝といた方が良さそうだ。
ずいぶんずぶといな、あんた。
単に臆病なだけ。死にたくないだけですよ。
Oh, that was why I'd abandoned those people. After Takumi-san locked me in and left, I lay down and closed my eyes. The ground was hard and it reeked pretty bad, but it was still an improvement over the outhouse. I should have taken the time to think about what the villagers had said, about my strange memories, and about how I could get the hell out of here. That was what I wanted to do, but I knew that I'd just swept away by an unproductive spiral of regret if I went down that rabbit hole. Had I always been this admirable of a person? Another thing. For some reason, I felt like I'd spent the entirety of this time just watching the battle. So I decided that I'd focus on resting, in preparation for what was to come.
みな座りんさった。じゃあ、
Eh? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. What? Why did he wear these clothes? The little girl is also there. There's 13 people here.